Hey everyone, it's Kelly. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my October wrap-up. I read 9 books in October, and these are the physical books that I read. I had such a good reading month in October. It was my spooky... Every October I always have like a spooky, creepy TBR. And last year I was severely disappointed with the books I chose, but this year they were great. I participated in 2 readathons. The first one was a month-long readathon, the Magical Hopathon, which was a Disney theme readathon for the 50th anniversary of Snow, can you not? It was the 50th anniversary of when Walt Disney World opened, particularly Magic Kingdom, I think. And this readathon was hosted by Rachel Karras, and I will link her channel down below. I also vlogged all 4 weeks, and I will link those down below. But, yes. And then the second one was the Dewey's 24-hour readathon, which was on October 23rd. And I got some books read for that. And, yeah, so time to get into the books. I read 9 books. And there was a mix of physical and ebooks. So the first book that I read, I was supposed to read in September for the Buzzword-a-thon. And that was A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I ended up giving this a 3 out of 5. I didn't get the hype because Layla Bard, she was kind of annoying. So, yeah. Am I going to read the other 2? Yes. And sorry I'm messing with it. My hair, I dyed it. But anyways, this very overhyped. Lila, she was freaking annoying. And the deaths were gory and gruesome. Which, welcome to the October creepiness. But this is about a guy named Kel. And there's 4 separate Londons. There's Red London, Black London, White London, and Grey London. He is from Red London, and he's part royal. And the Black London, it's like no magic whatsoever. And he gets something from... He gets a trinket from somebody that belongs in Black London. And then White London, it's like out of magic completely. And the people there are like wanting to... If they see you have a shred of magic, they're going to attack you. And the king or the rulers of White London, they're sadistic people. And then Grey London, it's just a normal London. They're muggles. But yeah, I thought I was going to have troubles keeping like what was what separated, and I did at first. And then Lila shows up and she brings her own little spin to the Londons, and I was like, that's right. And so I understood Lila's depiction of the Londons better than Kel's, and I kept expecting his brother, the prince, to be in on everything and be like a influencer to, or an enabler of the mastermind of the bad stuff that happened in this book. But yeah, I am going to be continuing this series next year. But if I don't like the second book, if it's a 3-star or lower, then I may not read the third one, because I love the writing. I love Victoria Schwab's writing. But this story, it was just, I didn't get the appeal of it. The second book that I read, it was a library book, and that is The Enemy by Charlie Higson. This is a YA dystopian horror. So it's set in England. We got 2 groups of kids, the Waitrose kids and the, what's it called? They usually don't like connect, they stay in their own lanes. And then one day they just come together, and I say that it's Gone meets The Walking Dead. Gone because in this world, in the UK version, it's 14 and up, people who get sick and turn into zombies. And then in the US version, it's 16 and up. So, but what I read, it was 16 and up. So, anyone ages 16 and up, they start losing their minds, and they become mindless zombies. They're not dead, but they like lose all sense of control. And one day the waitress kids go into this like rec room pool area, and they start to see these zombies banding together and working together, and that like trips them up. And so one day this kid from nowhere, he just comes and says, oh yeah, you can come with me and come meet my group at Buckingham Palace, because we're trying to recreate London and make crops and more people, more food. And so it's like Walking Dead in that sense, because the kid reminded me so much of Jesus when he took Rick's group to Alexandria. But yeah, and it's gone because the ages 15, 16 and up, they like get sick. And so, and it has something to do with the air and the sun that is doing it. So yeah, I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5 because it was very fast paced, very gory and gruesome. There was cannibals, and yeah. Blend of Gone and The Walking Dead, kind of predictable. I want to know more about the illness in the second book. The reason I started the series is because I bought book 5 and 6 from the Dollar Tree, and so I'm trying to read the books off of my TBR that are in the series. And so to get the series, I need to get them from the library. But yes, I highly recommend this one. It's really good. If you like dystopian Walking Dead type things, then you will enjoy this. The next book I read was Certain Dark Things by Silvia Moreno Garcia, and this was a NetGalley arc. And this is about vampires. So I've already had gory black magic, zombies, and vampires in my October reading experience. And so this was my first Silvia Moreno Garcia book. I think this was the first book that she tried to publish and it didn't go through, and now it's being republished because she's such a well-known author now. So yes, this is about vampires in Mexico City. We follow this one vampire that I forget her name, and the street rat named Dominique, and a genetically modified Doberman. And so, and the vampire's name is and her Doberman's name is Collie. And the cover is my favorite, so this is why I wanted to read this book. But it's about two warring vampire clans. Her clan has been completely destroyed by this other clan that has taken over her territory in northern Mexico. And she flees to Mexico City, and Mexico City has a 0 vampire tolerance policy. There's always sanitation, going to each house and making sure nobody's sick. And if you're sick, then you get tossed into this place. It's not really like explained, but there's constant sanitation checks. And so she's living in this apartment. She has no furniture, no food. She has just a bunch of sugar, and she sleeps in a closet. And so one day, Dominique, who's a trash collector who sells trash, he gets spotted by and she takes him in, and she decides to have him as a food source, or like a servant, like a bonded servant. And she gets him to run errands for her and see this master vampire that's been alive for thousands of years and undetectable in Mexico City. And yeah, so I ended up giving this a 3 because I wish I was able to pronounce the names of all of the Spanish words that were included in this book, I don't think there was a pronunciation guide for the words in this book. That's what I don't like about reading ebooks, is because sometimes you got to flip all the way to the front or all the way to the back to see the pronunciation guides, and it's just not worth it. So I will be rereading this when I get my own physical copy. And also Domingo. Did I say Dominique? It was Domingo. His name is Domingo. He was annoying as fuck. He just kept asking so many damn questions, and he was not getting a hint to shut up and leave her alone because it was obviously painful for her to discuss. And he just kept thinking about sex, obviously. Teenage boy. Sex. And no. He was an unlikable character for me. One of my favorite books of the month. I love this author's writing. Ever since her first book, Simple Art of Flying, I have made her an author, and this is only her second book. So I'm kind of like wanting her to like pump out a book every year, but it's not going to happen. But the book that I read this month and just fell in love with and made me cry like a baby, The Hedgehog of Oz by Corey Leonardo. This is a Wizard of Oz retelling with animals. Look, they're so freaking precious. Marcel, Ingot, Tuffy, and Scamp the mouse. So, this is about a hedgehog named Marcel. He lives in the Emerald City Theater with two of his best friends, two chickens, Uncle Henrietta and Auntie Hen. Auntie Hen and Uncle Henrietta. And yeah, so one day the theater gets shut down. It gets condemned. And the chickens and Marcel are like on a food run. They're in the concession stand getting all of the fruit gems that they love so much. And Uncle Henrietta, she's not having it about this elevator. She says that it's a hot box and that they need to stay away from it. And it's like oven, duh. And then Marcel gets captured. And he gets thrown in a forest. So while he's walking, he comes across Mouskin Land. And that's where he meets Scamp. Scamp is the daughter of the mayor of Mouskin Land. And they tell Marcel all about Wicked Wing. And Scamp is adamant that she knows what she's doing. And that it wasn't her fault that they had to leave the field because of the poisoned water. And she didn't poison the water. And it's just, oh my god, I love it. And then they meet Ingot in a rusted out tractor. And he's got a broken heart. And they eventually meet Tuffy, who is this little baby raccoon who gets separated from his mom and daddy. And he's just scared, and he eventually becomes brave. Oh my god, loved it. So I read this. I finished it during one of Ashley's reading sprints, Ashley's Media Addiction, and I bawled my eyes out. Not once, but twice. I'm not gonna say what made me cry, but oh my god. So, and I think I got people to pick this up. I'm hoping. If you picked this up because of Ashley's reading sprint and you saw this, leave a comment down below. Let me know. But I love this. And it's like it's not like a spot on retelling of The Wizard of Oz, but it's pretty damn close. And this made me really hungry for popcorn. Because the popcorn scent reminds Marcel of the theater, and that's what he's trying to get to, but he ends up stumbling across a popcorn factory run by rats who are working with Wicked Wing, who is the Wicked Witch. The rats are the monkeys. And then the Luna Moth, oh my god, it was so heartwarming and freaking, like, eye-opening and giving so much advice. Like, Luna Moths only live for a week, and they have that long to explore the world around them and take in as much as they can. And Toto, the little moth that Marcel carries, he broke my fucking heart. He was rude. So yes, I give this a 5 out of 5. Highly enjoy it. Highly recommend it. Yeah. Corey Leonardo is an underrated author. Nobody reads her. So I'm going to have to hype this up a little bit more. The next one is a graphic novel. I got it for a blog tour spot, and it is Salt Magic by Hope Larson and Rebecca Mock. Oh, so this was the first book that I read for my Animal Kingdom Park entrance ticket for the Magical Hopathon. It was Read Something with Nature, and obviously animals, nature. They're in the woods. And so this got me into Animal Kingdom. And then the second book for my attraction prompt, it was Salt Magic. And this is a graphic novel. It's about a little girl named Von Steele. She's waiting for her brother to come home from the war. He got injured, and they live in Oklahoma. So he comes back home, and he eventually marries his high school sweetheart. Von Steele hates that he is married off because she wanted to go back to the old days where they spent the most time together. And so one day this woman in white shows up and she tries to win back the affections and the heart of Von Steele's brother, who left her heartbroken, was like an army nurse in France. And he goes, "No, I'm married and I got a baby on the way. I don't want nothing to do with you. That was in the past." And so, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. This broad turns the fresh water on their farm into salt water. And she's known as the Salt Witch. And so Von Steele decides to go on this quest to get the family back with fresh water, because it's depending on the whole town is also depending on this fresh water, and they don't know that it's salt water. So Von Steele goes on this quest to find the Salt Witch and ask for her to reverse the curse to make their salt water back into fresh water. And then, learning that the Salt Witch has lost her true love and wants him back, Von Steele has to go on this other quest for the Salt Witch, and it was just great. I really liked it. I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5. It is set during World War One. Albert, the brother, has come home and married his sweetheart. Von Steele was not for it, and the Salt Witch got revenge. So that's basically what I just said. But the beginning had color, and so I think the reason that it doesn't have color in the rest because it's dark. So I'm going to be finding a finished copy because I really want to see these in like color. And my 2 oldest girls read it and they absolutely loved it. So I'm hoping that there's not going to be a sequel because it like wraps it up over the years. And so there's a Salt Magic Witch and a Sweet Magic Witch. And my kids loved the Sweet Witch, or the Sugar Witch. And so, yeah. Highly recommend this. It's a quick read. My kids read it in like 2 days. So, if you need something for your kids, pick this up. Okay, the third book that I read for my Animal Kingdom Park TBR was The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffin. This was for my my show prompt, and that was an Instagram worthy cover. Something with the Instagram worthy cover. I think it was the show or the snack. I'm not sure. But yes, and Instagram worthy. Obviously, it's beautiful. So I ended up giving this a 3 to 5. It was more romance than seasonal magic, which I was wanting. So we follow this girl named Clara. She is an Everwitch. And Everwitches, they have the power of all 4 seasons. And so she's in the school with autumn witches, winter witches, spring witches, and summer witches. And she is very hesitant to release her power because her power has her power is known for going after the people she loves and killing them. Her parents, her best friend, and she doesn't want that happening again. And so she is like looked upon because she's the most powerful witch, but then she's also being looked down upon because she refuses to use her power and fully let go. And so these things start happening. There's a blizzard in the summer and a heat wave in the winter and tornadoes in winter. And so from this other school comes a teacher, and he brings along a botanist. A boy who really wants to focus on his botany, but ends up having to be an assistant trainer and help Clara release her powers and find a focus. And they eventually form a relationship, which took up most of the book. The only time she used her powers was when an extreme weather event happened in the season that it was not supposed to happen in, like the heat wave in winter. That's the only time she used her power, and then she was like hesitating to use her power the whole entire time until she just said no. And then it went back to the relationship. So yeah, I ended up giving this a 3. It was fast paced, but enjoyed the story. I had to slow myself down reading it because I wanted to enjoy it. The romance took over and it was very lyrical and graphic. The description of the magic every single time was overdone. It took me out of the story. So when the heat wave happened, she would be like, oh, it feels like lots of tiny pinpricks, and it was just the constant descriptions of the magic and how she was feeling. It was so metaphorical. And the last book I read for the Animal Kingdom prompt, and what I read for Dewey's 24-hour readathon, was The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. 5 out of 5. Absolutely loved it. I listened to the audiobook and I read along with it. And then halfway into chapter 3, I realized that the narrator who's reading the book is none other than Ben Barnes, who played Dorian Gray in the adaptation Dorian Gray. And so this book was great. Especially the part where he speaks French. I don't know what the fuck he was saying, but good God. That was sexy. So yeah, Dorian Gray. This takes place in Victorian England, and he's having his portrait done, and while he's standing for his portrait, he has one of his friends, Lord Henry, like speaking in his ear, like, oh yes, you look beautiful now, but your picture will always look beautiful, and it will beat you and like stay this way forever while you grow old and die. And then that starts like turning the gears in Dorian's mind. Was like, I wish that this portrait would grow old and I would never grow old. And so there's a curse. So curses. October curses. And so I was not expecting the portrait to age the way it did. I thought it was just going to be old age. I thought it was going to be like years and it grow old and get the wrinkles. I was not expecting his bad deeds to age the picture. I was not expecting that. But yes, Ben Barnes did an amazing job narrating this. The ending, amazing. So after I got done reading the book, I watched the adaptation, and I love the inclusion of the Hellfire Club. The Hellfire Club wasn't mentioned in the book, but it was implied, but not mentioned. But, and all the sex and exotic and just, whew, yeah. Yeah, it was great. I want to rewatch the movie, and this will be a classic that I reread. I only have a few classics that are my favorites, but yeah, this is definitely one of them. I am so glad I read this, and it's not because of Ben Barnes narrating and Ben Barnes having a movie. It's just I enjoyed the story and the picture, like aging and like becoming old and decrepit, and yeah, I loved that aspect. So highly recommend Picture of Dorian Gray. If you have not read it, highly recommend. If you are not into classics, trust me, I'm not into classics either. But this one, yes, go read it. Well, I finished my Animal Park, and I went on to Magic Kingdom. And the first book that I read for Magic Kingdom for the Magical Hopathon was The Bone Houses by Emily Lloyd Jones. This is about a gravedigger, and I got this in my owl crate, my 2018-2019 owl crate, and I've been wanting to read it since I got it, because gravediggers. I think of season 4 of Survivor when they were in China and it had a gravedigger on it. But this is about, what's her name? Rin. Aderin. Yeah. We're following Aderin as she's a gravedigger. And she lives in this tiny village where she is trying to stay alive with her brother and her little sister. Her parents, her dad went on the scouting trip in the mine and he never returned. And her mom ended up dying from a lung disease. And their uncle had to come watch them, and the uncle has ran away. And so they keep getting harassed by the local town royal guard thing. He's basically a jackass that's stealing the money from the royal coffers. Okay, so one day Aderin is walking home and she sees this guy who has got lost, and he's a map maker, and he's from the city with the royalty. And so she agrees to take him into the mountains to like fix the maps. And so when he is in this town and they're getting ready to go, all of these bone houses leave the forest, which they're supposed to be confined to, and they're like attacking people and killing people. And so they having to destroy these bone houses and burn them. And so Ren takes what was his name? Ellis. Ren agrees to take Ellis into the mountains, and they go, and they get followed along by the goat. The dead goat that Ren like owned. And so the goat, she's loyal. Every time something tries to attack Ren or Ellis, the goat charges. And so, yes. And it's also about love spoons. I think it's Welsh folklore. I thought it was Irish or German, but love spoons. I don't know the culture that they come from, but I was a little creeped out from the bone houses. But if you are a daddy's girl, or if you have children, this shit will make you cry. I cried twice reading this. There was nothing on Goodreads that told me I was going to cry. You know, if I go into a book, I want to know if it's going to make me cry or not. This shit made me cry. And I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5. So, Oh, I cried when her half of the love spoon in the mountains, that thing. Okay, and then the end with a mom. Oh my goodness. So that's all I'm going to say because I don't want to spoil it, but I don't know why this wasn't a 5 out of 5. I think something annoyed me, but oh, this will be a reread. Since I know the crying bits, I'm most likely not going to cry, but yeah, I highly recommend this if you have not read it. Bone houses, they're not scary, not like zombies, but they're not going to eat you, but they just want to hurt you. But yeah. That was so good. And the last book I read for October and my Magical Kingdom Park that completed it was The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. I've had this arc since January 2018, and I give this a 4 out of 5. When I finished this, I immediately put the sequel and Tales from the Hinterland on my Amazon wishlist because I need these in my life. So this is about a girl named Alice, and Alice and her mother are nomads. They don't stay in the same place at once because bad luck follows them. And so one day Alice comes home from school to find a rotting, stinking smell in her home, and her stepdad is pointing a gun at her face saying, "What did you do with your mother? Why are you here? And you need to get out before I kill you." And so she goes to her friend's house, and he is like a big fan of her grandmother's one and only book, a book of fairy tales. And she has never read this book. Her mom has been adamant that they never speak of her grandmother and that she never read the fairy tales. So Alice has to go on this quest to find her mom. And so along the way, this friend, what's his name? Ellery. They go on this quest and go to upstate New York, and along the way they keep seeing weird things, and it's actually like characters from the Book of Fairy Tales doing these horrible things. And Ellery along the way is telling her certain stories, and you see this little tab right here? This is my favorite part of the whole book. It is the door that wasn't there story. Okay, so my favorite time to read is at night, but I find myself engrossed in a book and my light right here, it's on a timer to go off at 11:45 every night. I was reading the story, and this light went off. It freaked me the hell out. Because then my cat, President Snow, he's Tubby. He started snoring so loud when that light went off, and I was freaked out. I immediately put my bookmark in, and I said, no. Now, I don't stop in the middle of chapters. I don't. So I had to take a couple minutes and gather my wits, turn the light back on, watch a couple minutes of YouTube, and then I went and finished the story, and oh my god, it was amazing. It was creepy. I finished this on Halloween, and I read the story early morning hours, or like right before midnight of Halloween. No. And I went trick-or-treating that night and walked in dark. No! But I need the second one, The Night Country, in my hands, like right now. And I really want Tales from the Hinterland because as much as it creeped me out, I want to reread it. And I want to read the other ones. So, yes. I'm hoping that the grandmother will still be involved somehow in the second one. And the mom, she's not my favorite. So, Those were the 9 creepy, sinister, spooky books that I read in October. Honestly, this was my favorite reading month of this whole year. Because I enjoyed pretty much every single book that I read. It gave me what I wanted. And the star ratings may be low, but I enjoyed the spookiness of each and every one of them. Well, the Hedgehog of Oz is not spooky, but I enjoyed crying from 2 books this month. Who am I? I don't know. But anyways, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and comment down below if you have read any of these books. Did you cry from the bone houses? If not, then I'm just soft. I am a daddy's girl, and I am a parent that would do the same thing as the mom in the book at the very end. So, yes. I'll see you in my next video.